This 3i Atlas thing just keeps getting weirder and weirder. When 3i Atlas was close to Mars, NASA cut the feed. Big shock. But now we have this strange footage supposedly showing the object in question that was allegedly leaked from the Japanese space agency. The footage remains unverified, so there's good reason to be skeptical of its authenticity. Now, when I first heard of the Boogosphere, I didn't cover it because I thought it was a hoax. After studies were done on the sphere, I'm now of the opinion that its origin is far more exotic than a man-made hoax. So I'm going to keep an open mind about this until more conclusive information is released. Now I want to show you a prophecy by Brandon Biggs. Who is Brandon Biggs? Well, he was the guy who prophesied the first attempt on Trump's life, the one where his ear was grazed, and his prophecy was pretty freakily accurate. However, that does not mean that Brandon Biggs is a true prophet. And I won't go into why I'm reserved about Brandon Biggs in this video. That's a topic for another time. But my point is, take his prophecy with a grain of salt, just like take the alleged leaked Japanese footage with a grain of salt. So, here's Brandon.
I saw these major alien ship, and it flies over the Vatican, and it goes over the Mayan temples down in Mexico. And I said, Lord, is there two of these? Because I keep praying about this. And he said, no, it's just one. And that's what's going to make everybody freak out, because they're going to see it moving across the ocean. You understand? It's going to be something that's going to be on TV. It's going to move across the ocean, and people are going to freak out in the days ahead. Then I saw little bitty ships coming out of this mothership that were balls of light, and it wasn't a real ship. It was demonic looking light that was traveling around causing confusion in our skies. You say, Brandon, that sounds way out there. Yeah, it is. It was way out there to me. I didn't even want to talk about it, but I'm instructed to. You say, well, Brandon, that sounds like you're on something. Well, no, folks, I'm just here to warn you. I'm just here to warn you. And as wild out there as a sound, fearful sights you will see that will bring you to your knee. I'm here to warn you. The enemy is not playing fair with trying to deceive people with what's coming. He's going to throw all the curveballs he can to try to deceive the nations. When the Antichrist steps on the scene and he says, hey, we have a solution for all the problems in the days ahead. I have peace. I'm going to bring peace. I'm going to bring in prosperity. I'm going to do all this. But
Next, I want to show you a few clips from a YouTube channel named Godrules 2 Sons of Thunder. And by the way, you can find the links to everything referenced in this video down in the description.
Then we have this weird post by the usdebtclock.org showing some rather curious things in this image. Okay, and I have a lady here that explains and breaks it all down. Here we go.
Since America. Now we've got the eagle right there over America, where we've got the Aleph Tav signs and the Revelation 12 sign over America. These were all biblical signs where Jesus says the signs will be in the sun, moon, and the stars, referencing his return. Now I wanted to go over this symbol because yesterday I was like, I don't know what that is. Looks like maybe a angel blowing a horn, but what it actually is Atlas, and the US debt clock has been showing us Atlas several times, which was this US debt clock message. We've got Atlas and it says it right there. So coming back to the elevation debt clock message that we saw yesterday, we see Atlas right there in the sky along with all of the other planetary alignments from the Revelation 12 sign, right? They could have placed Atlas anywhere on this message, but they placed it right there, right about where Mars is.
Okay, so this is interesting. Now this is usdebtclock.org. It's not like it's some religious website. And you can see here they have Atlas, like 3i Atlas, next to Mars, which is where it just went. And then of course the feed was cut, and allegedly that's the Japanese Space Agency's version of it. I don't know if it's true or not. You have here, of course, the Revelation 12 sign shown in the constellation. You can see the alignment right here. You got Mars right there. When it says, you've heard the phrase, the stars align for you. It's referring to wandering stars, referring to the planets. We saw this at the birth of the King of Kings. We're talking Jesus in 3 BC in September, I think on the 11th. And then you've seen it recently, or more recently in 2017 on September something. Was it 20? 7 or 3rd or something. So this is pointing to a demarcation date when something changes. Could this be a sign that something big is going to happen? Is this all connected? That's the question. You can already see a little bit of a strange connections there just from that video and what was being said there.
Minutes of Horror broke this down even further, so I'm going to show you a segment from his video about that. And by the way, I highly recommend everyone check out Minutes of Horror. Now, some of his stuff is a little out there even for me, but he's an excellent content creator nonetheless.
So I found something very weird that I want to go ahead and share with you all. It might not mean anything at the end of the day, but we do know that symbolism is very important to the so-called powers that be, the so-called elite, and so forth. So there's a website, usdebtclock.org, which shows the United States national debt, the total number of people in the workforce, the current population, the world debt clocks of other nations. Now this website is not 100% accurate, it's pretty much an estimation. This website is owned and operated by the Durst family, who are billionaires. They are heavy in investing into real estate in New York. Think of something like Blackstone. They have an official X account, and generally they'll post things about money, different types of currencies, the economy, and so forth. But on October 3rd, they made a different type of post. The post reads, "Elevation, rise up out of the old world," and in between the two wings you can see a staircase leading to the United States, but across the United States you can see the Aleph and the Tav. This really stood out to me because we saw this completed during the April 8th solar eclipse. It took 7 years between 2017, 2023, and the 2024 eclipses to form the Aleph and the Tav over the United States. They also use the Revelation chapter 12 symbol across the United States as well, which represents a cosmic battle between good and evil, depicting a spiritual conflict involving a woman, her male child, and a great red dragon. But the weirdest thing of all is their use of Atlas in this picture, which really doesn't fit with the theme of what's going on here. We can see Atlas right here next to the United States, and what happens to be a very bizarre quote-unquote coincidence, yeah, there's a lot of talk about Atlas lately, an unusual amount of talk given the fact of the 3-eye Atlas. Then we had OpenAI release their Atlas browser this month just out of nowhere. But did you know that France is going to gift the United States, or honor the United States, with the tallest statue ever? Yeah, I found this to be very odd timing, but reading this article from Newsweek, which was published on October 23rd, it's titled, "Tallest Statue in the West Proposed to Honor America's 250th Anniversary." The article goes on to say how this statue is being sculpted by a French company, and they want it ready by 2026, again to commemorate the United States' 250th anniversary. They also say how there's a historic parallel with that of the Statue of Liberty, how that was also gifted by France, but at the end of the day, that's the statue of Lucifer. So in a post on X, Altier Messor, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly or not, said after months of hard work, they are now proud to unveil the statue, which they dubbed the Guardian of Liberty. And it just happens to be a statue of Atlas. Very weird given the fact of all this Atlas talk, again with the whole 3-eye Atlas. Now they say what we see here is just a scale model, but the real one will be gigantic, the tallest statue in the West. They said so many people have offered to fund it, but that's not the problem. The real challenge, they said, will be getting visas so they can actually build it on American soil, which is kind of eerily similar to this photo right here that US Debt Clock had posted, with Atlas being right next to the American soil. The article goes on to say that Messor didn't say exactly how tall the statue will be. I'm sure there'll be some 33 somewhere in there, or how they are defining the West. I guess they're trying to convey the message that the West carries the weight of the world on their shoulders. But again, it's just so weird that during all this 3-eye Atlas talk where people think there are hostile aliens on board, which will probably say there are some kind of gods or something along those lines, and all these references to Atlas, they want to build the tallest statue ever in the United States that represents Atlas.
So you got Dr. Stephen Greer here talking about this certain project, Blue, of course, Beam, right? And check this out.
And so that psychological warfare was authorized in 1953, 54. 1954, we mastered gravity control. So we started deploying these assets to begin to condition the public that there's a scary threat from outer space. I mean, look at Hollywood, Alien, Ridley Scott's the movies. If you want to see a script for what's coming fairly soon, look at the movie Independence Day.
Just found out that China also allegedly has some footage of Three Eye Atlas that they too have refused to release to the public, so weird. But I want to end this video with a few intriguing statements made by Jeremy Corbell.
Let's just talk about it. This brings me to the Atlas thing. If it's okay, let's jump into that.
Sure.
Everybody's asking what my opinion is on the Three Eye Atlas, object coming to Earth. Now, I'm not an astronomer. I'm not a scientist, but why they're asking me is because I made a statement back in January saying that, hey, there's a lie coming. And of course, it was part of a show, and it was just but if you watch the whole show, you kind of understand what's going on. And I've made a ton of statements about why I would say something like that. I'm not hiding and just saying it. I've explained to people why multiple times, but people are asking about that. Now, I don't know anything about that particular comment. I read the same stuff as everybody else. The trend I'm realizing, our friend in the disclosure movement, Avi Loeb, he talks about these unique characteristics, and he's not wrong about that, but it is a consensus of one. I don't see a bunch of other astrophysicists and people working on this stuff really echoing that same sentiment. I do love his open-mindedness, and he knows far better than me, and he's investigating the unexplained, not explaining the uninvestigated. So I've got a lot of happiness and joy for the way that he's looking at this problem set. But I will stand firm in that I said in January, and I actually said it earlier, but it was, I think it was played in January, that there was something coming, that people were going to try to convince the public at large that there was a spacecraft slowly moving to Earth, and that didn't come out of thin air. That wasn't just something I made up before I sat down. That came from years of people trying to impose upon me something to use my mouth, that there was this threat coming, that there's a 1970s document that I believe to be classified for sure. And, I don't have the ability to get that out to people, but it postulated this. So there were so many warning signs that this was going to happen. I finally said the quiet part out loud. Intelligence agents from multiple agencies durationally over years would call me and slowly edge at me with this theory and this idea to try to get me to say it. And it felt so manipulative, I had to call it out. So that is specifically why I said it, because I felt that pressure over time. I know you've been told, oh, there are these hints of big things coming. Well, if it is, fucking say it. If it is, then you have a duty to say it. But no one's standing up and raising their hand. So I do think it's absolute nonsense. I think that you're going to see, a comet that's, maybe unique by material pass by the Earth and life goes on. I'm pretty high confidence that that's what's going to happen. But again, I don't know. I'm not an astronomer or anything. I just know what intelligence agencies have tried to push on me.
A lot of people have jumped to a conclusion. Aha, Jeremy was talking about this one. How did he know? And, I was wondering that myself since you hadn't shared it with me.
But you've heard it. You've heard it, George.
Yeah, of course.
2027 to 2036. Ooh, a big thing is coming. Okay, what is it then? How'd you find out about it?
I've been around long enough to remember Hale Bopp. Hale Bopp. Art Bell, a lot of people saying, oh, there's something following it, a big spaceship, end of the world coming. And then the crazy cult people in Southern California all drank the Kool-Aid and died, killed themselves so they could meet up with it. Bad stuff can happen when you do that kind of crazy prognostication. And I'll tell you, I saw this last night on X. Somebody had a picture of Avi Loeb, and they're quoting him as saying, if you're going to take a vacation, you better do it before October 29th, because this is it. And you know what? I don't know that Dr. Loeb said anything even remotely close to that.
Oh, he did.
Take your vacation before October 29th.
Yeah, I saw the video clip. But again, it's all about context, right? So when you're doing an interview and you're talking with people, he was probably kind of making a joke. He wasn't doing a doomsday thing. but it becomes like, biblical scripture. Everybody's got look. Avi Loeb is fighting to investigate the unexplained, not to explain the uninvestigated. That is awesome, but it's the media and social media doing it to itself. I just I don't know, man.
Well, I just know that I'm not going to be able to take a vacation before October 29th because slave driver Jeremy keeps me tethered to this desk here for weaponized.
That's
So
right.
I'm out of luck.
I couldn't help at one point in my discussions privately with General Secretary Gorbachev, when you stop to think that we're all God's children wherever we may live in the world, I couldn't help but say to him, just think how easy his task and mine might be in these meetings that we held if suddenly there was a threat to this world from some other species from another planet outside in the universe. We'd forget all the little local differences that we have between our countries, and we would find out once and for all that we really are all human beings here on this earth together.
As many of you know, I take care of both of my parents, and they've both declined a lot. And it's at the point where I'm just not able to get out of the house to work any sort of regular job anymore. So right now, my primary source of income is YouTube. Apologies for that annoying noise the neighbors pulling out. So I wanted to humbly ask if you enjoy my content, if you find any value in it, and if you would like to support me on Patreon, any pledge would be greatly appreciated. You can find the link down in the description, and love you guys, and we'll see you later. Hey everyone, Drew here from Mad Cat Mysteries, and I hope you enjoyed the video you just watched. If you did, you can click on the subscribe button below. I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.